Welcome, viewers, to another episode of The Big Leap from Mirae Asset. And it's our pleasure to today debut in one of our loveliest cities where we had a long association. So today we come from Bhubaneswar, and who better than to start the Bhubaneswar edition with our dear partner who has been working with us for a very long period of time. It's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Shashi Shekhar Saha. Shashi sir has been running a very successful practice called as Nivesh Wealth, which he started 5 years back. He has been working on his individual capacity for now almost 10 years. And prior to that, he was actually a banker working with a lot of MNC banks in that region for a long period of time. So 10 years back, the entrepreneur journey started for Shashi sir. And 5 years back, it changed into an LLP. And today he is managing almost 800 clients in Odisha and other parts of the country and the world. So Shashi sir, welcome to Big Leap. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining us on the Big Leap. It's a pleasure to host you today. So what our viewers would like to know is how did this start? How did Nivesh Wealth and how did your journey start?
This particular journey way back in 2011,
Yes.
I adopted a simple strategy, right? Because I was a banker for almost like 14 years, worked with banks like HSBC, Citibank, HDFC, right? And in my last profile in HDFC as well as in Citi, right? I was a wealth RM selling third-party products. We used to call it third-party product. That's a mutual fund and insurance, right? So my MF journey started from as a banker as well. But in 2011, when I started off, I thought of just one thing. Let me just try out one strategy which I have to do just the opposite of what I was doing in as a banker, right? And it actually worked perfectly.
Lovely.
Because when I approach my existing customers of the banks or the investors, I didn't go there to ask for money. I just wanted to know what exactly they've done in their investment journey,
Okay.
right? So they must have done a lot of insurance policies. They must have done a lot of closed-ended funds,
Hmm.
right? So that actually hit me when I started off, and it paid me back well.
Okay. So how was the initial day in 2011? Because those were times when the markets and overall investor confidence was low because you
Right.
were coming out of markets were not so doing so great either on debt or equity. There were challenges in the economy. So how did the initial say 50 or 100 clients start coming up with you?
Another thing I had observed in our market like Bhubaneswar or Odisha, possibly it was a truth in a pan India basis.
Sure.
In 2011, many of the mutual fund distributor or the other channel never used to sell debt products. When the equity is not doing well and the overall sentiment is weak in the market as far as the investor sentiments are concerned, I started pitching uh, your FMPs, fixed maturity plans or FTPs. Possibly those were the least revenue yielding products,
Yes.
right? But still, I thought, okay, let me just make that investor taste this product because everybody was selling equity, right? Nobody was pitching these products because it was giving a 5 basis point or 10 basis point revenue. It
Yes.
was not lucrative. Bankers anyway will not sell these products in a smaller locations like Bhubaneswar because they didn't know. And to my surprise, I came to know that most of the people don't even know what is indexation that point in time.
Okay.
Possibly in a place like Bombay or Delhi or bigger cities, people knew about it, or so the distributor knew about it. But here in a place like Bhubaneswar, right, people didn't even know what is indexation, what is the benefit, how that benefit gets passed on to the investor after 3 years. That point in time, it was 1 year, right?
Yes.
The product used to come for double indexation, triple indexation, right?
Yes.
So I used to pitch these products and get my sales closed Because we have to understand one thing: at any point in time in our economy, whether it's a low interest rate regime or a high interest rate regime, the differential will always be there. We cannot promise any returns definitely because of the guidelines and all, because that point in time FMPs and FTPs used to call it indicative yield.
Yes.
If you remember, right? we cannot say, okay, 8%, 9%. It used to be indicative yield, and gradually it was also abolished. Right, you cannot even utter this indicative yield. So for a market like Bhubaneswar, when people didn't know about the liquid category or liquid plus category or the FMPs or FTPs, right, and they have already burnt the fingers in equity, so that confidence level within the investor community was very low. The best part was, for me, I have, in my 14 years of career in banking, I have never sold a single insurance policy to any of my investor or my customer. That actually paid me back.
Wow.
Because what I understand, that's completely my understanding. I cannot treat insurance as an investment product because that's a costly product, right? At any point in time, when I compare that with mutual fund, right? I cannot give a product which is costlier than some other alternatives, because ultimately that money is going from the investor's pocket. 100 rupees invested into insurance policy, 20% expenses deducted thereon, and the 80 rupees is being invested. But here in mutual fund, even if that point in time the entry load was there or upfronting was there, everything was, then the expense was not more than around 2.5% sort of thing, or 3% maximum in general.
Yes.
So 97 rupees of the investor is getting invested. So ultimately the benefit is passed on to the investor only. So that is the confidence I had developed during my banking days amongst the investors. So it was not that difficult for me to generate or create a book.
Okay. So lovely. So it's now almost 10 years, will be 10 years soon for your practice. There have been a lot of regulatory changes. How did you find those changes affect your business for the future?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question actually, right? Because there are a lot of changes happening since I have started the journey way back in 2011. The entry load was abolished. Then it has come in a different way, B30, B15. Then again, some other tweaking. 2018, again, there was a disruption as far as the revenue part is concerned for the MFDs. And all these things are happening because SEBI wants to protect the investor's interest. It's a bottom line is that, right?
Yes.
Now, my concern or my apprehension is, if you discourage the distributor community by doing all these things, will that mis-selling stop? It doesn't. I don't think so. Because your entry barrier to this particular industry is not that stringent.
Yes.
Right. You give that an ISM exam, score 50, and get a certification as a mutual fund distributor. Right. Now, possibly we have got around 175, 180,000 ARNs, right? Pan India. And we all know that out of that, around 35,000 ARNs are actively working, which is pretty low to serve such a big nation. Bankers are doing it, that's a different thing. Other national distributors are doing it. I'm talking about the in total.
Sure.
Right. So instead, and if you look at the other sector, the same financial sector, which is insurance, Life Insurance Corporation has got 11 lakhs agents only, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of disparity. Now, if you want to have a quality sales or a quality distribution of this particular product, you need to catch hold of that person from the beginning while entering into this industry. Make it more stringent. That is one. To my view, I think if there's a lot of regulatory changes, why SEBI is not abolishing this refresher course? When every 3 years you attend one particular training program, right, and get your ARN renewed. Doesn't matter whether you possess that knowledge or not, because I have done my NISM certification in 2005 for the first time when I was with HDFC Bank. That time the format, and I had again given that NISM certification in 2019. The pattern is completely changed, right? And I'm sure that most of the people who are giving this your refresher course, if they appear for the main exam, I don't think they'll be able to, it will be easier for them to pass. So if SEBI wants to protect coming back to the same thing, if SEBI wants to protect the investors' interest, why you are having people in this community, right, who doesn't have any idea what exactly they're doing? And it is not their fault. See, there are a lot of mis-selling happening because and the person doesn't know even he's mis-selling. He himself doesn't know he is mis-selling.
Okay.
Because we are working at the grassroots level, right? We know our location, and I don't think any other location in India will be a different place, right?
Yes.
So everywhere the story is same.
Okay.
So disruptions will keep on coming by SEBI, and it is good for the industry. It will have some hiccups, right? But ultimately, this is the industry which is growing, and it will grow, right, in the near future.
Correct. So you have been managing clients for now 25 years as a banker and as running your own setup. So I wanted to know, what do you think are the key reasons for any wealth creation for the investor? What have you observed during so many years?
As far as the investors' wealth creation is concerned, we have to make them understand what exactly is the wealth creation.
Okay.
Whether he requires it or not. Because when you probe an investor, okay, because I ask a lot of blunt questions. Why do you want to invest? Right. That person will, he's become surprised. He has come to sell me something because he has his own mindset or thought process. When I take an appointment with the investor, goes to him, he has his preconceived notions about me.
Yes.
One salesperson will come, he'll pitch me some product, he'll try to convince me, he'll ask me to sign some forms, take the checks and go out. I don't do that actually. I keep on probing that person. Where do you want to invest? Right. And what are your existing portfolio? Is it in a fixed deposit or a mutual fund or direct equity or insurance or whatever? And people are not very comfortable sharing their financials at one go. We need to handhold them, and you need to be a patient, right? Before closing that particular, it's very easy to talk about some fancy word, because after talking to that person for 5 minutes, you also understand he doesn't know anything about mutual fund, right? So after that, you act smartly with that person, which is not right actually, right? You have gone to manage his hard-earned money.
Yes.
You have no right to do any manipulative just to close your sales. Right. It is not right. Possibly that person investment horizon is 6 months and you pitch a ELSS. Right. This is completely a mismatch, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's why we keep on probing what is the investment horizon, what kind of risk appetite you have. Accordingly, we adopt, thanks to Citibank again, right, who that taught us asset allocation and all these things, right? As a banker, right? So we stick to that asset allocation model. We never get into 100% equity at any point in time for any investor. That's our strategy, right? Because we need to have some cushion, because we don't run the market. If somebody asks me where the market is heading to, my answer is straight away no, I don't know, right? But based on your time horizon and risk appetite, this is what is there for you.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
And my last question would be that what is your views on the distribution profession going ahead, especially during these difficult times of COVID and now coming out of the unlock situation? How do you see the future for this profession?
As far as this COVID situation is concerned, we have utilized it very, very productively. We had taken a new software. We have changed the entire software of ours, which has got a mobile application both in Android and iOS, right? And we have got almost like 60% of our active investors into digital mode.
Wow.
Right. So again, we don't have to spend much time on doing transactions, getting the form signed, getting the check signed, getting the check banked, all these things. Now it is there in the hands of the investor as well as us. If the investor is not confident about doing this digital transaction, they ask us to do it, they approve it, and that is how the digital platform works. So that is one thing we have done during this pandemic. Second thing, we have also done a lot of meetings, a group of 6-7 referrals or investors about the market scenario, the March levels today, what is happening, why the NAVs are not moving, this, that, and all. So a lot of session on Gyan as such, market Gyan.
Okay.
Right. So because we understand that unless until you handhold an investor, right, in the good time everybody will appear, right, in the market. The point is in a bad time or in a crisis situation like COVID or the 2008 or you can say March 2020, right? So your work is very, very important to handhold the investor at that point in time, because he needs you that point in time. Otherwise, people have other avenues, right? Like e-commerce platforms are always there, isn't it? If you are not there to handhold them, then they can always go for these e-commerce platforms which are available in the market, right? And do the investment for themselves. They don't need any distributor.
Thank you, Shashi sir, for your time, and thank you for your thoughts. I think there are quite a lot of learnings in that. I think for me the end was quite interesting, that if you are not handholding, that is the key to all the relationships in life. So as long as you are in touch, it will start working out for us. So we wish you and Nivesh Wealth all the best, and may this association between Mirae Asset and Nivesh Wealth continue. And we wish you all the best for the future. Thank you so much for taking out time and being a part of Big Leap. And thank you, viewers, for watching another episode of the Big Leap. And we look forward to bringing another stories again in the future. Thank you and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.